Imagine a character so real, so prickly, so human, that she feels she could walk right out of the page and sit beside you, grumbling the whole time, of course. That's Olive Kitteridge. Hi, I'm Ridhima. Welcome to The Old Trunk. Today we're diving into Olive Again by Elizabeth Strout. This isn't just a sequel, it's a journey into the messy, beautiful chaos of the life of Olive Kitteridge. If you caught my review of that one, welcome back to Crosby, Maine. If you haven't seen it, check it out later. I'll link it down below. You don't need to have read the first book in order to love this one. Although both books, while centered around the same character, function as standalone novels. Each offers a collection of interconnected stories that provide insight into Olive's life and the town of Crosby, Maine, without requiring prior knowledge of the first book. Olive again revisits Olive in her later years, introducing new characters and deepening her personal journey. But it does so in a way that allows the reader to understand and appreciate her story without needing the background from Olive Kitteridge. While reading both books enhances the experience, Olive again stands strong on its own. Okay, let's talk about how this book feels. Elizabeth Strout has this incredible way of writing that's like imagine someone sitting you down with a cup of tea and telling you the unvarnished truth about life. Sometimes it's warm, sometimes it stings. Her style is simple but not simplistic. She uses short, sharp sentences that hit you right in the gut. And then she'll stretch out a moment so you're just soaking in it. It's like she's painting with words, but she's not afraid to leave some brush strokes rough. She writes, "When you get old, you become invisible. It's just the truth. And yet it's freeing in a way. You go through life and you think you are something. Not in a good way and not in a bad way. But you think you are something. And then you see that you no longer are anything." What I love is how she writes Olive, this larger than life woman who's gruff, opinionated, and yet so vulnerable. Stroud doesn't spoon feed us. She lets us sit with Olive's contradictions and wants us to figure her out ourselves. Olive is in the latter stages of her life. We follow her into her 80s as her capabilities decline, and she must make unwelcome adjustments in her daily existence. There are so many facets to Olive that she glistens like a diamond. She is transcendently crusty and can be a chore to be around. But she has a sort of perceptual superpower that lets her see some core emotional elements in people and is able to jump in and act on her perceptions. This is where her kindness, her softer side, her dynamism comes to the fore. It is a thing of magnificent beauty when it does. She's even able to embrace friendship. The stories in Olive Again have been weaved like a tapestry, each one with its own little world, but all tied back to Olive in some way. Now let's talk about the themes in the book. The first big theme of Olive again is aging. This book picks up with Olive in her later years. Think 70s and 80s, and Strout doesn't sugarcoat it. She digs into the physical stuff, losing independence, the body slowing down, but also the emotional weight. It's about looking back and wondering, who was I? Who am I now? Stories like Exiles and the End of the Civil War Days really lean into this, showing Olive and others grappling with time's passage. There's this quiet power in how she shows Olive wrestling with it. Not always gracefully, it's raw, it's real, and it makes you think about your own life. Moving on, Strout talks about loneliness. Olive and the other characters in Olive Again face the ongoing problem of loneliness and its flip side, connection, among other things. Olive is this prickly character who pushes people away, but there's this ache for closeness. Strout uses her to explore how we all crave connection, even when we're bad at it. Stories like Cleaning and Light bring in other voices, people in this small town, and you see how their lives brush up against Olive's. Heart specially digs into this ache. It's like she's saying, we're all alone, but we're alone together. Does that make sense? It's heavy, but hopeful too. Finally, there's self awareness. Olive isn't static, she evolves, but it's messy. Strout shows her starting to see herself more clearly, maybe softening a little, though she'd never admit it. Stories like Labor and Friend highlight this slow shift, while Pedicure and The Walk echo it in others. It's not a big dramatic transformation, it's subtle, like real life. The subplots tie in here too. Characters reflecting on their choices, their regrets. It's Strout asking us, can we change? Do we even want to? Now let's talk about what Strout's up to here. What is her point? What she wants to say? I think she's holding up a mirror, not just to Olive, but to all of us. Through the main plot and the connected stories, she's exploring how we navigate life's messiness. The plot isn't some big, twisty thing. It's more like a slow burn, following Olive through her days. But the stories, they're like little windows into other lives, showing how everyone's dealing with the same stuff Olive is, just in their own ways. Take The Poet. It's got this quiet reflection on legacy. Or Motherless Child, where family ties get all tangled up. Strout wants us to feel the weight of ordinary moments. She's not here for flashy drama. She's here for the quiet stuff, the conversations that linger, the regrets that simmer. And through Olive, she's saying, you don't have to be perfect to matter. There's this compassion in her writing, even when Olive's being a total grump. If you saw my Olive Kitteridge review, you'll know I said something similar. Strout's all about finding beauty in the flawed. Okay, now let's zoom in how this all comes together. The plot, the subplots, the main storyline follows Olive. It's her life, her perspective. But it's not linear. It jumps around, dips into different moments. What's brilliant is how Strout uses the 13 stories to fill in the gaps. You've got Labor, where Olive's stubbornness shines. Cleaning, which zooms in on a younger character's struggles. The Walk with its haunting look at guilt. Then there's Pedicure, all about intimacy, and Exiles, tying back to aging. Light and The End of the Civil War Days explore fractured relationships. Helped and The Poet bring in fresh voices, and Motherless Child and Heart dig into family and longing. Friend caps it off with this beautiful quiet note. Each story's its own thing, and they crisscross with Olive's world. It's like she's weaving this web of humanity. The subplots don't just decorate the main plot, they deepen it. They show how Olive's world isn't just hers, it's shared. There's this ripple effect where her actions, her words, touch others and vice versa. Strout's intent shines here. She's showing how interconnected we all are, even when we feel isolated. And her writing style, it's what makes it work. She's so precise, so understated. You feel these connections without her shouting about it. The stories in Olive Again are strong, moving, and beautifully written. Olive is as wonderful a character as she is difficult a person. It has been a privilege renewing our acquaintance. Olive Again is a book that sneaks up on you. It's not loud or fast, it's slow, deliberate, and so worth it. Strout's writing pulls you in. The themes make you think. And Olive herself, she's unforgettable. These stories, 13 little gems, build this rich, messy portrait of life. I think what she's conveying is this: life's messy, we're flawed, and that's okay. It's about finding meaning in the small stuff, even when it hurts. The novel delivers what a special book does beyond entertainment. It creates the scope to connect the writing to our own stories or those not far away. It enables us to view issues through a different lens and wonder, are these the events we couldn't face or appreciate? Olive Again is a stunning continuation of Elizabeth Strout's deep and unflinching exploration of human nature. It's a book that reminds us how messy, complicated, and profoundly interconnected our lives are, whether we like it or not. Olive remains as stubborn and sharp-edged as ever, but Strout gives us even more access to her vulnerabilities, her regrets, and her unexpected moments of grace. The novel doesn't just revisit an old character, it expands her world, her understanding, and in turn, ours. Ultimately, this book is about aging, change, and the small, often unspoken ways we impact one another. Strout's ability to capture the quiet heartbreaks and joys of everyday life makes this a deeply moving read. If Olive Kitteridge showed us a woman learning to live with herself, Olive Again shows us a woman learning to live with others, imperfectly, but with as much honesty as she can muster. It's a worthy follow-up and a testament to Strout's remarkable storytelling. That's it for today. Thanks for hanging out with me for this deep dive into Olive Again. If you enjoyed this review, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. Go watch my Olive Kitteridge review. I'll link it down below if you want more of this world. I'll be back with another book review. Check the description for links to grab this book if you're curious. Until then, stay happy. Thanks for watching. Lots of love. Bye-bye.